So we're going to put REST API forms for the last, start out with building design template themes. Okay, so there are two different types of template in dotCMS. There is an advanced template, and then there's a template builder template. The reason why you might want a template builder template as opposed to doing everything from scratch in code is number one, for reusability. So let's just say you have many different designs for many different websites, and there's a very slight difference between, let's just say, your main template code does a dot parse of a few CSS files, right? And those CSS files are the only things that change. You're doing maybe 30 different hosts, and each of the hosts actually has a fair decent amount of column layouts, right? Let's just say, I don't know, even 30 or something like that, or 20. That's big. A lot of people only, and a lot of institutions only have maybe 6 or 8 or something. So if it's a fair, if it's a large amount of layouts, and for your own efficiency, just being able to take a theme and readjust a 2 or 3 column layout in a matter of less than 10 seconds, that's a nice efficiency, but it's not like, all of you in this room, can't, in that room can't do code, so that's not the point, is to not do code in that case. It's just so I can rapidly, take the same code that I've done, redo the layout a little bit, and rapidly deploy new templates. The obvious downside is that you only have the options that are in the template builder for whatever framework you're using, but it's still the same limits on the layouts that we'll look at, and you can't really step out of that if you're using a template built by the template builder. So if you need more flexibility kind of constantly, then themes are just kind of, it's cute, but doesn't really help you out all that much. The other reason you might do it, and we have clients who do this, is for, like, the large hospital client I was talking about. They have there's a main group that creates all the templates and the designs for all 1,500 hospitals. Then there's a local webmaster who, honestly, they don't really want to touch their template designs. But they want the local hospital website administrator to simply be able to create new layouts whenever they want to, but it's all using the same files. It's, they're really not touching code whenever they do it. That is a perfect example whenever you're truly doing very large multi-tenant and you've got a central organization that's controlling the templates for a lot of other websites that do have local administration, but you want to keep them out of the code. That's also a nice, way to separate, allow people to create new templates and new layouts, but separate them from changing the code that you're responsible for. So that's another example. There's also the hybrid approach, and this is only, once again, truly helpful if you have a lot of different layouts. Give you my own personal example for this site. At first, my first instinct is always create a theme, because I like it, I like the reusability of it anytime I want another layout. But whenever it comes to large banners up at the top, and I ended up finding that the template builder and using a theme was just a little too restrictive on what I was putting in my header and what I was putting in my body. And so I just ditched it for this home page and just went to an advanced template here. So you can create themes, but I ended up using the theme builder for some other pages that were more simple and didn't have the big, image flying across the whole screen. And so I ended up doing a hybrid, and even my main page calls files from the theme. So you can do a hybrid too if you want to, so that you have that flexibility to use the template designer later. So now we're going to get into how you actually construct a theme after we've kind of covered those limitations. The only limitation to advanced templates is whenever you're doing all code all the time, and then you have a 1-column layout and you want to add a 2 or 3-column layout, then you have to copy the code, paste the code into another template. Then you got to make sure that you don't, in your copy paste, you don't mess it up. So it just puts a little bit more it's more overhead technically to do that. So but I mean, certainly both are actually for any web developer pretty easy to do. I've never taken more than, even with a complicated template, more than 6 hours to create a theme and cut up any HTML into a template builder or a new theme. Okay, so let's go ahead and log into our server. Let me see. Oh, I don't have my address here. Let me open back up and get my address, pass that to you, and let's install a new theme together. So I'm just looking at my other screen and I'm grabbing that IP address, and I will pass it for our training server. There we go. There we go. And I'm passing that over to you. And you guys already know the username and password. admin@dotCMS.com and admin, right? Okay. Let me just talk about some of the basic constructs of a theme. All right, all of the themes must go to be able to work with the template designer. Go here inside the application directory and themes. So here's all the themes that we already have installed. One for the intranet, where Bill is signing into an intranet page, a landing page, which is for creating, main page kind of banner pages, a one-pager, which is the ski resort, and the quest theme. Now, inside every one of these, you will find the same exact 4 files named in exactly the same way. That is the header VTL, the HTML_head VTL, the footer VTL, and the template VTL. Okay, the one pager, same thing. Quest, same exact thing. Now you'll find different components, you'll find different images, different JavaScript, maybe using Sass or less, which server side compiles, by the way. You don't need to do any conversion or anything like that. That's kind of nice if you're doing modern kind of layout frameworks. And I'll show you how that kind of works. I guess we've been focusing on the stuff that we've been building has been using the Quest, so let's just collapse and focus on that one as an example. So what is inside of each of these files, and what is the real responsibility of each one of these files? And how do you know what variables that are in these files actually correspond to what's expected in the template designer? Well, we'll dive into this in just a second, but as always, we should start by looking at some documentation. So we are going to go to the template builder and show you a couple of resources here. And I want to take a look at creating the template VTL. And this is where, if you look at creating the template VTL underneath themes, under building sites, here are all of the variables that you'll see within some of those files. I think just the template VTL that handles what is set by the template builder GUI, right? If you put that the template should have a sidebar, then you're you're checkboxing the sidebar, and then you're saying whether you want it on the left or the right. So this is the velocity variable that's expected in the template VTL to be able to, which is the body, right? Which is going to lay it out. The sidebar width percent, that's something else you set. How many rows in the main column, there's your sets, right? If you decide, oh, well, I want to try and create a plugin to create a new option here, that is too much work. Do an advanced template and easily do whatever you want, and we'll take a look at, advanced templates and custom templates and how to switch up containers and all that good stuff. So whenever you checkbox that the template has a header or a footer, there is a, if .theme layout HTML head and .theme layout footer, and that's what ends up parsing the footer VTL or the header VTL. These two are both. If the header's there, then parse this one and this one, right? Now, what's the difference between the HTML_head and the header VTL? Well, the header VTL is going to have like your nav tool and all of the things in your top nav. The HTML_head VTL has all of your preloads in it. So let me show you what I mean. So like if we took Quest, we opened up the HTML_head VTL. You'll see .page content quite a bit. .page, let me Control A, Control C, get it out into here and here. Let me paste to you the documentation over here. So obviously you want to read up a little bit on themes. This one gives you your variables. So I'm just chatting to you variables. And by the way, we do have a theme library that is here under dotcms.com and themes. And all we've done here is we've done like a basic skeleton for any of the kind of most popular best of breed frameworks that we could think of. Bootstrap 2, Bootstrap 3, Foundation, Groundwork, Gumby, Helium, YAML 4, Nax, Cube, whatever. So whatever floats your boat there, you can just download one of these themes, instantly install it .cms, and it has those same 4 files in it, right? But the wrappers around all of your columns and your rows correspond and change in the template VTL to these frameworks, right? And if you want to do your own custom framework, all you have to do is change the wrappers as well, and name it whatever you want. Just the divs are what really is laying out the template. So do what you want. Here, that .page content that's doing a preload in here. If we go back to our documentation, page content and velocity. This particular doc is important because you want to get your metadata off of every page and preload it at the top of your page, right? And that's what the HTML_head, whenever I say preload, it's doing all the preload work, whether it's JavaScript or whether it's CSS or whether it's the page variables, the page metadata, all that stuff is kind of loaded up at the top of the page. So the template, the first thing it does, calls the HTML_head VTL, and then that does all these preloads. So you can do .page content .title and get the title of whatever page that you're on. Doesn't matter, right? So it's just totally reusable. Do it once, never touch it again. Host, folder, language ID, inode, mod date, URL, template ID, show on menu, property, sort order, friendly name, and then of course the SEO description, SEO keywords, page metadata, and path. Right, all of that can be gleaned just by doing .page content and then one of these. I already did give you that. Yeah. So that's what you'll see a lot up in this HTML_head VTL. You'll also see, well, you guys already know what URL map content. So if it's a page that's doing URL map content, if that's true, then go ahead and put page title equals URL map content dot title, crum title equals URL map content dot title. You know, right? So .theme.path ends up giving you your complete /, and I think that's in the documentation here under themes. But is it creating a new theme? Here it talks about those same 4 files. And where does it mention the .theme path? Probably in that same doc I was at. Yeah, here it is, .theme.path. So whenever you put .theme.path anywhere, what it does is, if you're using a theme, then it will do so that you don't have to do it ever. It'll do automatically /application /themes / the name of your theme /. Okay. And that trailing / is important so that whenever you construct a path to anything, let's just say I wanted to call this particular bootstrap.js. The way that I would do that in my theme would be quite simply .theme path, and then I would do, and of course you want it like that, and then right. So that'd be the .theme path that gives you the /application /quest /themes /quest /, and then you only are responsible for supplying the path from your theme directory underneath. Okay. And that's the way you call files, so that it's just nice and clean and you don't have to do the big long pathing yourself. So you'll see that in a lot of places. Here's your metadata, your SEO description, setting all of that. Application name, just setting everything that you would in the top of your template. Now here's another very important thing. You'll notice if you look at line 36 here, if you notice we've got a .less. Let me copy that out. We've got .less .relative theme path less main.css. And here, so that is less, close that up, less, and then we see main.less here. Now, at first, I think you're going to be going, what? How in the world does that work? And it does work. So you need to understand what's the behavior. Okay, so now you can see both. So we're calling this main.less file. It's not main.css. Okay. Now, how do you trick the browser into thinking it's a CSS file, but you're actually loading less? Because if you actually called it main.less and you try to call it, and then the browsers would start complaining. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you server-side compile the less file, make it CSS, and then load into the browser? You use this precursor kind of trigger word, dot less, or if it was a SAS file, you would do exactly this. And you just replace this with SAS. And it has to be all uppercase, so that we try to do that so that there would be no other, kind of pathing that would be similar and trigger that behavior. Then Jason Smith, for whatever reason, didn't use theme path. He went ahead and changed it to a relative theme path. And then once again, that ends in a /. So then /less to get inside the less directory that's over here on the left. And then call the main.less file, but using the extension main.css, because the .less says this is a less file, server-side compile it, and then serve it up as CSS. And if it's a SAS file, you just do .sas, your path to your file, use the CSS extension, even if it is a SAS file, and it will server-side compile and serve up the CSS. Okay, so that's a little trick there as well. And the rest is just regular stuff, regular jQuery, loading up JavaScript, loading up fonts. Not much to it, just a lot of preloads, right? And checks to see, hey, is this a URL map content page? Then I want to change my page title. Okay, this is a little, I guess you could do something with personas, and he was trying to give you a little starter because he's not doing anything in the for each loop here. Okay, so that is the HTML underscore head file that we just looked at. And then what is in, not here, that's the last guy I want to cover. So what then is in the header? Like I said, this is where you're going to need your nav tool. So then you start your header ID, you go ahead and define your divs. And this is where obviously we're defining here with this class, this is Bootstrap naming conventions, right? But if you wanted to use your own framework, you could copy all these files and just go in and, lay out divs that correspond in your CSS to your own custom framework and layout, right? And so then we're just got static links to all of the things up in the header, right? And then here is the nav tool that is, it doesn't get any more copy paste out of our documentation than that. I literally just copy and paste this every single time into my header, no matter what theme, no matter what template I'm building or whatever, and it just gets all from the root, gets all the show on menu items and shows them. The only thing you would do is whenever you're actually showing those menu items, change the styling, and that's it. Add a reorder menu button, and this is where we've got you can sense if you're in edit mode or not. So, and that's how you do that, if edit mode. Let me copy paste. That's kind of a useful piece of code to put in your Evernote. If edit mode, then show a, here you go. If edit mode, then go ahead and show the reorder button for the navigation on the back end. All right, so you just click on it and then you get that reordering tool. And if not, then it doesn't show it at all. And if you don't know if you don't remember what I'm talking about, if we look at anything with a nav, which our own pages do, I should be able to go to any of these. And that is if I lock for editing, then I'm in edit mode, and then I get this little manual reorder where I can see everybody. And so I want to put, let's see, I think this one's mine. So I'm going to put this one up at the top, and then someone else copied my directory. So let me put that somewhere else. So then now, I can rearrange those items there. And let's see, if I rearrange, let's say I want to put movies up at the top in my list, then maybe my Dean's movie detail page right underneath that, put this long content architect thing at the bottom. Save changes. Now I should see that in my side nav, long content architect thing on the bottom. And if I zoom out, because I'm zoomed with, no, it's not helping, it's still hiding. I'd have to go to preview mode. My zoom's really messing with me here. Okay, there we go. See movies up at the top. And there we go. Now I'm hidden again. Probably because we have so much stuff in this top nav here. So that's the show or hide of that button based upon whether you're in the menu. And then there's a couple little helpers here. It's good to go ahead and read through and see what it's doing, the VTL servlet URI. So you're getting, paths to your page path. Those little variables are kind of nice if you ever need to grab your page path and do something with it. Okay, so that is the header and the HTML_head VTL. I'm covering all the ones that are the least kind of complicated first. And now footer VTL is extremely easy. He's pulling personas and tags because he wants to use that content. Pulling a call to action via pull personalized down here. We'll go over that later. It's on our agenda. You've got some social links down at the bottom. The about us, the links to the company, but it's just a lot of static stuff. If it's in edit mode or if not in edit mode or preview mode, then go ahead and do these things. Pulling personas, if the visitor persona is set. Showing some images, if it's set. Google Analytics. So that's your standard Google Analytics script, which communicates with that host, with what's set on your host. That's going to load automatically that Google Analytics key that you find if you look at the host properties. .theme path, we're loading all the JavaScript down here at the bottom of the footer. All the min.js, jQuery, video.js, all that gets loaded at the bottom of the footer VTL. Okay, and there is a theory behind that, which I actually don't know. Just faster load. I don't know. I don't care really either. But that's where I put it because Jason Smith said, yeah, you should load it at the bottom. Okay, fine. Maybe you guys know smarter than me. Okay, so now this is the only one that you just never touch unless you need to change the framework that you're using. So this is the one that glues it all together to the template designer. Because if you do have a header or footer and you've checkboxed those checkboxes, then it'll just parse those VTL files, and it's pretty much just a little bit of velocity, a little bit of JavaScript, and a little bit of HTML. This guy is the guy that glues them together because here you have this pre-process VL and this post. I can't see anything here. There we go. And this post-process VL that actually ends up kind of triggering the whole template designer thing, functionality. So that has to be at the beginning and end of every template VTL if you want to actually, use themes. Then in the middle here, then you just go and put your header, and then if .theme head HTML head, that's the checkbox in the template designer. Then you just .parse your shortened path because of the .theme path. HTML underscore head VTL, right? And here, if there is a header, if .theme layout header, then .parse the header VTL. So once again, it's just kind of calling the other components. And then we'll see another one down at the bottom, if .theme footer, then footer VTL. And then here's where it gets to the main layouts. So, set main column equals, .theme layout body, sidebar, go ahead and set that up to the .theme layout sidebar. So we're grabbing those things, just naming them in something easier to read. And then if sidebar.width% equals 20, then layout according to these Bootstrap naming conventions. If you didn't want that, you don't want to use Bootstrap, then just name it something else. And then that'll, in your CSS, you're going to lay out whatever, naming convention that you want. And whenever you call a div and you call it with that naming convention, then whatever's defined in your CSS will then end up laying your page out in a different way. Obviously, if it's width %20, though, that should kind of be consistent, right? Or 30 or 40. Now, there is no other options here. And like I said, if you want to start thinking about changing these options, it's easier to do an advanced template. Don't even think about it. You've gone there. It's not worth the effort. And advanced templates are so easy. It's just why? You'll end up banging your head against the chalkboard. So sidebar location, setting the sidebar locations. Page content, if that's set, then go ahead and edit your page content inode. And then the rest of the rows, if they're set with the row counter and the column counter, then it'll, if you keep adding rows in your template designer, it'll go ahead and lay out those different variables. And you're for eaching on your rows in main column, sidebar, calling the footer, and that's pretty much it, right? So I typically don't have to touch my template VTL. I use Bootstrap just because I don't want to change anything and I don't want to mess with it. And I can always find kind of what I want to do in Bootstrap. But, most of our clients use their own custom framework, even whenever they're creating their own new themes. Okay. So if your job is then getting a design, chopping it up and throwing it into this. So I'm going to show you exactly that right now, and then I'll go ahead and take questions as soon as I show you some static HTML. I went to be able to do this training and use something. I went to a Bootstrap theme downloader. That's the same thing I did for my wife's website. Just hey, let me find something that looks good. Bootstrap Merovingio theme. This is what I downloaded. I don't think it's I think only the previews there. Yeah, you can't buy it anymore. I bought it for like $16 or something like that, just to be able to do demos with clients and show them something. But that's the basic look of the theme. I don't think you can even go to it anymore. So that's the one that I bought and used. I downloaded those. It's a Bootstrap theme. So here, if we go to, training and web developer training, and here is my Merovingio raw. So whenever I downloaded that, it came with all the CSS, the JavaScript. I know that I'm just going to throw those into my theme directory, but I needed to be able to take a look at any page, really, because most of these pages are using the same footer and the same header and all that stuff. I just went ahead and opened that with Text Wrangler or Sublime or whatever you use, and looked at the index, then went up here at the top. What does this look like? The HTML underscore head VTL, right? I want to preload all of this junk, all of the CSS files up into my HTML underscore head, right? I don't want to, even though this is within the head tags here, I don't want to throw my navigation inside here. they have their nav actually inside the body. And so this is kind of where I would parse the, down here I threw this, all of this. I just grabbed out my navigation, copied and pasted this into my header VTL, right, that my template.vtl is going to call, and paste it in. I pasted this into my HTML_head VTL, and then replaced with this with .theme path /CSS, bootstrap CSS, right? And then I put my page properties and stuff like that, my page title, using the .page content variable there as well. But all the stuff in the header here went into the header VTL file. I completely ignored and threw away everything in the body. Who cares? That's going to be content, and that the template VTL is going to handle that. And then I took this, threw that in the footer VTL. Where's my footer start? I literally just copied and pasted everything between the footer tags into my footer VTL, and loaded my JavaScript there too. So, and that's it. Threw that over into a theme and done. It took me less than, 2 hours, even whenever I was new at doing this. So what does it look like? So then, and completed and Meravigio. So then it looks like this, all divided out. But let's go ahead and open up those just to show you what I'm. Let me throw it over to dotCMS via WebDAV, this Meravigio theme, and then we'll look at the header VTL, the footer VTL, HTML_head, and the template VTL, just to show you, that it's really not much to be able to do. So I think, I lost my WebDAV connection. So let me connect a folder. I don't want to connect the folder. I want to connect the server, maybe. That would be better. Okay, so I'm doing my WebDAV connection. I can't wait to where we can just drag and drop from the, whatever folder and Finder, and just drag it over to dotCMS. Coming soon. That will be slick. But right now, WebDAV's pretty nifty. I don't see anything wrong with using Finder. Even though there's a couple bugs in Finder, you should use CyberDuck. Or there's a couple other clients. They were just talking about that in the chat, that somebody else was talking about some other options, especially for PC, that they use all the time, and which ones were better. So it's a good idea to be part of that forum, because I just learned about a new client that I want to try out. So where am I going? I need to be inside of application. Wait till that loads themes. And here's where I need to drop my new theme. So I'm just going to grab Meravigio from my other screen and just throw it right in there. And hopefully it'll upload without giving me problems. But it's copying 70 items right now. So let's go ahead and talk while that's copying those 70 items. And hopefully it will not give me an error. So we already went ahead and uploaded our footer, header, HTML_head VTL, template VTL, all to the server. And now we're just looking here at the backend, where the theme has already been applied. And let's create a template with it. So I'm going to add a template designer template. Oh, that's right. We have this little Chrome issue here. So I imagine if it's in Chrome, it's in Safari. So let's use Firefox. That's fine. Now let's go to our templates and our template designer. And then we have to choose this new theme, right? So here's our Merovingio. So I'll say this is Merovingio homepage. And if we looked at that Merovingio homepage there, we can see that that was a one column, well, I guess maybe that could be in the same one. And then it looks like at 25, 25, 25 underneath that. So let's at least do that. So we're going to add a row. We're going to make the first one 100. So I'll add, I guess, my large container there. And then for my second one, will do a 25, 25, 25. And I'm just going to add whatever. Like I said before, the default containers really come in handy here. So I've got default 2, 3, 4, and 5. I could add my movie container to one of these if I wanted to. But I just make them all default. I suggest making all of them default until you see a need for a static content contribution to a particular container. So I'm just typing default for, what the heck, I'll add my movie container over here on the right. So I'll type in here, Dean, and put my movie container. Why not? Okay, so that's my save and publish that. And now that I've got my Merovingio homepage template, then, and you guys do whatever you want, create whatever layout you want with Merovingio. Save it, maybe with your name, and then go to the browser and go to your training directory inside where your name is, and then go ahead and maybe add a new page. So page asset, and I'm going to call this Merovingio home in my directory. And then under template, I'm going to type in Merovingio. There's my Merovingio homepage template. I'll do a 0 cache and save and publish, and I should see Merovingio. Now, our top nav has too many items in it that are showing menu, so that's why that's all getting all broken up. It looks like there's some little adjust I need to make down here to the CSS to get the About Us not stuck over on the left-hand side. I got back to the top here that's overlapping, so a few tweaks are still necessary, but lock for editing. There's my content. I can start adding and reusing new content. So let me see. Let me reuse something here from blog, news, event, products, document. Media, search. And then if I could actually see that, I could actually literally copy and paste those Merovingio things. I could actually grab it right out of my webinars and, sorry, not webinars, training, web developer, completed theme, index. Here it is. And throw it inside of generic content, I guess. Where was I? Browser and DG Merovingio home. I'll add content New content. Yeah, just throw a generic. Throw that in there. Yeah, I don't have my links. Yeah, I could throw a screenshot or something like that in there, but whatever. And throw something in there. So, you could copy and paste from the existing site, create all your content, throw them on the rest of the columns, and there you go. Might need a few tweaks after you get it in there, but that's just styling and stuff. And we can create as many layouts now as we wish with this new theme. We already did an advanced template, right? Together, did we not? Let's see, advanced. Let's everybody go to your site and templates. And let's all click here inside of Bear Mountain one pager, everyone. We're going to copy the code and then we're going to manipulate it. Okay. So copy all this code here that's inside of Bear Mountain. So it's the Bear Mountain one pager template. Copy that and then just click cancel. Then click here on the template creator, and instead of add template designer template, let's click on add advanced template. And then name it, so it's a ski resort, so I'm just going to call this Dean G Ski Resort. Make sure you put your first name and last initial so that the atoms don't get confused on whose template's whose. And then just paste that code down below. And then we're going to manipulate the code a little bit. But you see, this is using the .theme path since we're not actually in a theme, we had to just manipulate this a little bit. All we did was .theme equals contents.getEmptyMap, and then .theme path.put, and we put the path so that then we could use that convenience variable, and we could also access the files that are there because the Bear Mountain, there is a one-pager theme there that we're going to access all the files for. The HTML_head VTL is there. The header VTL is there. So we just do .theme path anytime in our advanced template. We want to do this hybrid approach where we have a theme, but we want to create an advanced template that also goes with that theme, and then just access the files in the theme as we're doing our own code. Okay. So what we're going to do here before we leave is we're going to manipulate it and say that one of these containers is going to take our movies. So let's do, this is in the first column here. So let's go ahead and take out the code here. The rest of this is just divs and layouts, right? This is laying out our 2-column layout here that's right after the main banner. So we're going to not parse this default 3 container. So you're going to delete lines 42 to 44, the 2 comment lines plus the parse container. Make sure you do not delete one of your divs, and just do that. So we're adding container here. So right in between, you have to make sure your cursor is placed in between these 2 divs. And then click add container, and then go ahead and type your own first name. So I'm going to get my Dean G movie container. I'm going to click add. And then it automatically adds the 2 comments for which container you're parsing. This is auto-generated code that cannot be contained or not be changed. And then it does the parse container, and it has the ID of the container that you chose. Highlight everything and tab in so that you're nice to the next person reading this advanced template. Click Save and Publish, and then we'll create a new page with, for me, it'll be the Dean G Ski Resort template being an advanced template, right? And so I'm going to come here to the browser. I'm going to collapse my application and go to Dean G and right-click New Page and Page Asset. I'll call this Dean's Advanced Ski Resort Page. And then here for the template, I'm going to put Dean. And then there's my Dean G Ski Resort template that I just created. Take away my cache and save and publish. And then I got to lock it for editing. I didn't get to see the 2-second data. Wow. There it is. You saw it? If you refresh that, even the add content buttons come sliding in from the right and the left, creating some sort of data wow. I don't think it's very wow, but okay. So let's reuse content. Just pick whatever generic content that you wish. Search ski. Search lodge. Search Bear Mountain Lodge description. I don't know what's on the blog, internet videos, products, demos, one pager, lock for editing. What does he have on the real page? Oh, he's got a widget. So a photo gallery widget called the Lodge. So yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and do that. Add widget, photo gallery, and then I'll select the I don't see the Lodge, but Bear Mountain photo gallery, I assume. That doesn't make sense. Widget title is called the Lodge. Folder photo gallery. Permissions, history. The Lodge. It's a photo gallery. Oh, it's photo carousel. I chose the wrong widget. There we go. So photo carousel this time. So add widget, photo carousel. There we go. The Lodge. And then because skiing and movies go together, so then I'll add like Guardians of the Galaxy Go Skiing here to the right. So I'm going to reuse content, reuse one of the movies that's already here. Click on movies to show that I'm using my own guy, and I'll select Guardians of the Galaxy and throw my movie there to the right. So yeah, a little silly, especially because Guardians of the Galaxy has an up image in it, but it's working.